Hey, so Tekken 7 Season 3 is here? Well, it's going to be here next month anyway. We got 4 total characters. We have 2 upcoming characters to be revealed, a feature and a stage. And I want to talk about the characters today. Because I have a theory on who these 2 could be. And before I get into my theory as to who they are, I feel it's important to mention that I believe, I have a theory that in Zafina and Leroy's trailers, they are teasing Wang and Baek. I think them teasing Wang is far more likely, and the reasons I'm going to go into for them teasing Baek are very much could be coincidental, but at the same time could be intentional, and I want to talk about it. But I feel it's important to say that what I'm going to say is going to be incredibly biased, because Wang and Baek have been my mains in Tekken for about 15 years, and I have been waiting for them to be revealed for Tekken 7 before the game came out on consoles. For about 3 years now, I've been waiting for Wang or Baek to be put into Tekken 7. And, of course, because of that, there's going to be some bias in what I say. I'm trying to look at this from an unbiased perspective, but at the same time, it's going to happen regardless, because I just love those characters so much. Anyway, now that's out of the way, I want to talk about these 2 characters. There are a few possibilities on what these characters could be. I think the first and most important thing to say is that I don't think either of these characters are guest characters. If a fighting game, or any game really, has a guest character, they're going to heavily advertise it. Because it costs so much money. You have to advertise that's a guest character, because if you're paying money and spending the time and effort to get a guest character into the game, the intention is to draw people from that game to Tekken. So it's a very big advertising and selling point, and it also costs a lot more money to make those characters, because you have to buy the rights to the character. So the fact that they never advertised a DLC character as one of those 2 characters tells me that these 2 remaining characters are either going to be original characters or more legacy characters. And then on top of that, I think there is a chance that one of these 2 could be another original character. I don't think both of them will be, because there are still so many legacy characters that aren't in the game yet. I think it just makes more sense for them to have 1 original character and 3 returning characters. I think 25% of the DLC characters being original is fine. And another thing you have to keep in mind is that making an original character is going to cost more money than bringing back a legacy character, because with a legacy character, you already have moves, you already have hit properties, you already have a general idea of frame data, you already have the character design. So in terms of Zafina, you already have Zafina's stances, you have a lot of her moves, and obviously a lot of those moves need changes in frame data or hit properties, because Zafina's always been an unusable character. But you don't have to make those moves again. You look at the old game's animations and those moves, and you do that again. You don't have to design something else. You don't have to think of something new. You redesign her outfit, but you still have the same character, right? Whereas if you're making Leroy, you have to start everything from scratch. New model, new character, new moves, new ideas. Every move, you have to think what the hit property should be, what the frame data should be. You have nothing to reference. And because of that, it's going to take more time and money to make an original character than a legacy character. And I think with Leroy, they can justify Leroy being an original character and making him because they're using him as a selling point, like a guest character. An original character is something that not a lot of people have expected. It gets more attention, it's a selling point, it's good for advertising than just having two original characters so they can justify the cost. But after that, when you have two more characters to reveal, the chances of another original character are still there, but they're much lower because of the cost. I still think it's a possibility, though, because you only have 4 characters, and one of the things that is coming to the game is a stage, and one is a feature, which is probably a game mode like Tekken Force or Tekken Ball or something. And I don't know how much it costs to make one of those, but to make a stage it costs significantly less. You only have 4 characters. Part of this could be because Namco didn't give them as much of a budget. Part of it could be they want to cut costs on these things by making less characters so that they have enough money for another original character. Or maybe they had to cut those costs in the first place to make Leroy. Who knows? But either way, I think that these 2 remaining characters are going to be legacy characters because of that. Could it be an original character still? Yes. Is it a guest character? I don't think so. I know a lot of people have wanted Ganryu for a long time. I know people are talking about Tifa. I don't think that either of those characters are coming. It might be possible that during the Tekken World Tour, knowing Harada, he could do something like, hey, by the way, so actually there are 7 things coming in Season 3, and one of them is a guest character. He could do that. I could see Harada doing that, but I could see him doing that for anything, and I think it would make more sense if they advertise this as being a guest, or this being a guest character, one of the two, and then if he did that, then saying, hey, by the way, another legacy character, surprise, at Tekken World Tour, instead of a guest character. I feel like that wouldn't make much sense. So, I do think that these 2 are going to be legacy characters, because of all of those reasons. Now, the question becomes, who can they be if they're legacy characters? And I think there are 4 answers. I think it could be Wang, Baek, and Ganryu. And then the oddball being Kunimitsu. And I know that sounds outlandish, but it's a character everyone wants. I want Kunimitsu. I used to play Kunimitsu in Tekken 2. I think Kunimitsu's a great character. And her redesign in Tekken Tag 2 was amazing. Everyone loves Kunimitsu. Harada said on Twitter a while ago that he wanted to bring Kunimitsu back to Tekken in some way. And it's not like it's impossible, because Kunimitsu isn't dead. She was excommunicated from the Manji clan. So she still exists in the Tekken universe somewhere. She's just not in Tekken. Even though she hasn't been in any of the games for a long time, I think Kunimitsu is a character that everyone would like to be back in the game. And I think she's a possibility. But at the same time, you still have a bunch of legacy characters that people have been playing for over a decade, and they're not in the game. And I feel like those are going to take priority over Kunimitsu. But I could still see Kunimitsu being a character because so many people like her. And that's why I say Kunimitsu over someone like Miharu, but with a new moveset or something like that. Because no one knows or cares about Miharu, but a lot of people like Kunimitsu. And there are a few other characters like that. Hell, Prototype Jack, maybe. But people don't like those characters like they like Kunimitsu. So that's why I think Kunimitsu has a chance as opposed to other characters like those and Tiger Jackson and Alex and those characters that have been in previous Tekken and Tekken Tag games, but I don't see them being justified because no one knows who those characters are. So I think that's why I think Kunimitsu, and then I think Ganryu, because again, Ganryu is a character that a lot of people like. A lot of people know he's very unique, very different, and there aren't any characters that really play like Ganryu, so Ganryu players are really missing out. I feel left out because my 2 mains aren't in the game, but I feel like it would be worse if I was a Ganryu player, because at least For Wang, I have Julia. And while people say that Wang and Julia are similar in playstyle, that's only Tekken 5. In Tekken 6, Wang got a complete redesign, and he plays nothing like Julia does now. If we're talking about Tekken 5 Wang and Julia, then I can agree that, yeah, they are similar, but now Wang is completely different. But Julia is still a great character, and very reminiscent of Tekken 5 Wang, because they were very similar. But, and for Baek, obviously, there's Hwoarang. Again, they play nothing alike, but they both use Taekwondo. But I don't really play Hwoarang because I just don't like Hwoarang, and at the same time, I don't play Julia as much as I would Wang, because even though she's similar to Tekken 5 Wang, I don't like Julia as much as other characters, and certainly not as much as Wang. So I feel left out because of that, but with Ganryu players, there's no character in the game that's even remotely similar to Ganryu in terms of looks, in terms of playstyle, nothing. At least, again, with Baek, even though he doesn't play anything similar to Hwoarang, even though his character is not similar to Hwoarang at all, at least they look similar. So you can play Baek and then go into Hwoarang, and if you like the Taekwondo style, you still have a Taekwondo character. And for Wang, Julia still uses in part some of the martial art Wang uses. I can't remember what it's called, but so you can still get a bit of that from Julia as well if you used to play Wang. But you don't get that with Ganryu. And I feel that because he's such a unique character, like Zafina, that is a reason why I think he is one of the, if not the most likely candidate to be one of those two characters. Even though I don't even like Ganryu, I think he's one of my least favorite characters in the Tekken franchise. I don't like playing him. I don't like the look of him. I don't like anything about Ganryu. But at the same time, I feel like he's the most likely character to be here because people like him. There's no character that is like him, and he does feel really left out. More so than the other two characters. And then we get to the elephant in the room about Bruce. I think there are other characters too. There's namely Roger, I guess. I know there's someone else that I'm forgetting, and I'm sorry if you play a character that I'm forgetting about, but the main ones that have been in my head before Season 3 that are missing are Zafina, Ganryu, Wang, and Baek. And to an extent, Kunimitsu. But Roger is more of a joke character. He shares a lot of moves with our characters. He's a lot like the Bears. Not very popular. Of course, people would play him if he was DLC, but I feel like because he's a joke character and because he doesn't share a lot of original moves, or he doesn't have a lot of original moves, he shares a lot of moves with our characters, it wouldn't be appropriate, I don't think, to bring Roger in as a DLC unless he got a complete redesign, as opposed to even Kunimitsu. But her and Ganryu and Wang and Baek. I feel like there was a thumbnail down here that... No. I don't know. I'm trying to think of another character that's missing, but I can't really. I'm pretty sure there is one, though. So again, I'm sorry if you play that character, but I can't think of them. But anyway, back to Bruce. So the elephant in the room with me saying that is Bruce, obviously. And I understand how Bruce mains feel about Josie, because I feel the same way about Master Raven. I used to main Raven in Tekken 5, I played a lot of Raven in Tekken 6, and I haven't touched Master Raven in Tekken 7. Even though I still really like how Raven plays, and Raven would probably be at least a secondary in Tekken 7, if Raven was in the game. I hate Master Raven's character so much that I cannot stand playing her. I think Master Raven is such an awful character that turns me off from playing Raven completely when I used to main him. And I understand how it is for Josie mains too, or Bruce mains too. You used to main Bruce in, say, Tekken 5, Tekken 6, and then he gets replaced with Josie, and then you don't want to play Josie because you hate Josie. And I agree. I like playing Josie too, but I can't fucking stand Josie, so I don't play her. So I understand that, but at the same time, Bruce players have to keep in mind that I'm not going to say that Bruce and Josie are the same character, because they're not. But it's a lot like, again, Julia and Wang in Tekken 5. They're not the same character, but they're very similar. I think Josie shares over half of Bruce's moves, I think, which is a lot. And because of that, even though Bruce is a far better character than Josie, even though there are a ton of people who don't play Josie but would absolutely play Bruce if he came in, even though they are similar characters, I think because Josie shares so many moves with Bruce, it's more likely for Ganryu, Wang, or Baek to come in who are completely different from every other character in the game. Than Bruce, who is very similar to Josie. Now, what could happen with Bruce is that he could get the Wang treatment, where he comes back as a DLC character to Tekken 7, and his entire kit is changed. Again, they did that with Wang in Tekken 6. It's not like it's out of the question, and one of these two could be Bruce. But I think it's unlikely. I think it's something that absolutely could happen, but in my opinion, I think it's less likely than Ganryu, Wang, or Baek. If there were 6 characters here, then I would say one of those characters is probably Bruce. I would say if these 4 slots were all characters, I would say the characters that are going to be here would probably be another original character. Wang, Ganryu, and Baek or Bruce. That's what I would think. Or it would just be those 4, no original character. I think he's around the same chances of coming back as Kunimitsu. I would put him there. But I think the 3 most likely are those 3 for those reasons. But I don't think, and I know I'm finally getting to my point 18 minutes in, but I think this now comes to what I'm trying to say. My point is that even though I think Ganryu is the most likely character to be one of these 2, I think that they're trying to insinuate with these 2 character trailers that's not Ganryu, it's going to be Wang and Baek. And I think the most convincing argument that I'm going to have here, and the one I'm going to start off with, is Leroy's intro. And let's just go to Leroy's intro. So, here's the reason why I think this. There are a few reasons. I'm going to go through all of them. But just look at the beginning of his trailer, right? That's what you see. That's what we all saw at EVO when they first showed him. And everyone thought it was Wang. Everyone thought it was Wang. No, there'll be another character. Yes! Yes! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! That was me thinking it was Wang. And most people thought it was, based on the reactions I heard. And granted, no one expected an original character, but at the same time, you can't deny that this looking like Wang... This looking like Wang in the 15 or so frames that they actually showed it was intentional. There's no way it couldn't be. He even has the gold... He has the white robe, he has the gold accent, I suppose is the right word, like Wang. It at first glance, there's no way you can't think it's Wang. You do see the Wing Chun dummy, but you can justify... One, not a lot of people are going to know that this is exclusively used for Wing Chun. It is, but people aren't going to know that. You're really only going to know that if you are or have been a practitioner in Wing Chun. And even I have been a practitioner in Wing Chun. I know that this is a training dummy only used for Wing Chun, specifically built for Wing Chun. But even knowing that, I still thought it was Wang. And part of that is me being biased, of course, because I want Wang more than anything else in this game, even Leroy. But at the same time, you can see it as, because Wang is a master of martial arts. He's known as the revered master. Throughout the world, everyone in the world knows who Wang Jinrei is. So I don't think it's that far-fetched to say that he could know Wing Chun, and that they're adding Wing Chun as part of his move list. And there are a lot of people that view Wang as a Wing Chun character. Even though he doesn't use Wing Chun, a lot of people see it that way. People see Wang as, until Leroy of course, as the most like a Wing Chun character in Tekken. So, whatever the case, this is clearly supposed to make people think Wang. And then it turns out that's not. And I think this is the most important thing, because I don't think that Harada or the Tekken team would do something like this, make people who mained Wang and have been waiting for Wang for years, depending on if you played at the arcade or not, 2 to 5 years, for Wang to be in Tekken 7, and then just completely deny that. I don't think that's something Harada would do, because that's pretty fucked up. I think it's pretty fucked up to insinuate that a character that they're revealing is going to be Wang. You get all of the Wang mains excited, and then he's just nowhere in Season 3. And then, because I already feel left out with both my mains not being in the game. I feel left out that the character I've been playing for 15 years has been absent in Tekken 7 for as long as it's been out. He hasn't been in any DLC, he wasn't a character that was introduced in the arcades, nothing. And so, I've been patiently waiting for him for, again, about 3 years now, before the console release. And, you know, the Tekken team knows that, Harada knows that, and they're probably looking at it from the perspective of people, there are Wang mains who play in Japan and Korea and have been waiting for him for 5 years. And then they do this, get those people excited, and then nowhere to be seen. I feel like that's just a big fuck you to Wang mains. I feel like if they did this, if they intentionally made this, because there's no way this isn't intentional. There's no way that this intro got past the entire Tekken team and no one said, hey, this looks a little bit like Wang. I don't think we want to get Wang mains excited for Wang to come back and then just forget about him. I don't think that it would get past everyone. I don't think the Tekken team would do this. And at the same time, Leroy is not replacing Wang. Absolutely not. I've seen people say that he's going to be Wang's replacement, but he uses Wing Chun. It's a very different martial arts style from what Wang uses. The martial arts style that Wang uses is about deliberate, hard-hitting attacks. You know, just look at his Shaw, right? His Death Fist. You know, look at his Stomp, his down 3+4, Core Circle 4-2, right? Forward 2-2. You know, all of the moves that Wang uses are supposed to be really big, hard-hitting moves. Right? And with Wing Chun, you have a lot of really fast, medium-hitting moves and a bunch of parrying. It's a very different style from Wang. And Leroy is a very different character from Wang. Yeah, they have the same gi, and yeah, they're both old, but besides that, they're nothing alike. Yeah, Leroy trained in Wing Chun in Hong Kong. That's the only similar story that they have. They are very different characters. So, he's not replacing Wang. There's no way that this is supposed to be a character that's supposed to replace Wang. And I don't think that the Tekken team would ever just outright replace a character. They kind of have with Master Raven, and they kind of have with Josie, but at the same time, it's not like redesigns haven't happened in Tekken, and it's not like that we don't have characters like Violet and Lee or Miharu and Xiaoyu, where you have two characters that have the same moveset but are different characters. It's not like you don't have that, and I don't see how they're just replacing Raven with Master Raven. I can see Raven absolutely coming back, and you have Kirsty and Eddie too. That's another example. So the Tekken team doesn't replace characters. They can substitute out characters for other characters, but they don't just outright replace characters, and even if they do, they have the exact same moveset. I can't think of one character replacing another character in Tekken that have different movesets. So he's not a replacement for Wang, despite what people are saying. And I think just based on this shot alone, the idea that this is supposed to look like Wang, and people are supposed to think this is Wang at first, and then have him as an original character, insinuates that one of these two characters is going to be Wang. Because if it's not, then that's a huge betrayal of trust, and it just feels like a big fuck you to Wang mains. It's like, yeah, we're going to tease your character and make you excited, but you're not going to get him. Go fuck yourself. He's not going to be in Tekken 7. Stop trying, right? And I know people are going to say, oh, you're looking too much into it, but again, I'm just going to go back to what I said before. There's no way that this isn't intentional, that this is supposed to look like Wang. There's no way that this got through everyone in the Tekken team and not one person said, hey, that kind of looks a lot like Wang, maybe we should make his gi black. And that's not crazy, because Wing Chun gis are black. He's not even using a Wing Chun outfit, by the way. This is not even close to being a Wing Chun outfit. But they could have also just put him in a Wing Chun outfit. And they didn't. They gave him a white gi with gold accents, just like Wang. There's no way this wasn't intentional, so I don't think I'm reading too much into it. I know I've been talking in circles, but I want to make sure I get my point across that I would be very surprised if Wang wasn't in here just because of this. I would not just be very surprised, but I would be very disappointed with the Tekken team, overall. I've been holding out hope for the past 3 years that Wang would come back, and if he's not in Season 3, already that's pretty bad, because there's no... Season 4 is probable, but probably not within the next year, I don't think, and if it is, it's probably not going to have many characters. And I forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, okay, so Wang's already improbable if he's not in the Season Pass, but if he's not in Season 3 after doing this, then it's just a big fuck you to Wang fans. He's never going to be in the game, and I feel like I should just quit. Because one of the main reasons why I play Tekken now is because I still have hope that Wang or Baek are going to be back. Because those are the characters I've been the most excited for, those are the characters I love more than every other Tekken character, and they've been absent for so long, but I've been holding out hope. But if they're not in the game, I don't know. I don't know if I want to keep playing the game, honestly, after this. At the same time, though, the other thing could be is that maybe they already have plans for Season 4, and they did this to gauge people's reactions and see if people actually know Wang and want Wang back or care for Wang, because because again, obviously it's Wang, they're going to look at people's reactions to this, and they're going to either see, is that Wang? Or, that's Wang! Or, oh, it's Wang, what a waste of a character. And most people were like, that's Wang! Like, excited, like, it's cool that he's back. Which is a good sign, and maybe that's the reason why they did it, is because he's not in Season 3, but they're planning on putting him for Season 4, but I still think it's a weird way to gauge reception of people wanting Wang back. So, I don't know. Alright, and now with that out of the way, there's something else about this that I want to talk about real quick. So, obviously, Leroy Is his name? Yeah, his name's Leroy. Jesus Christ. Leroy's jacket is very reminiscent of Wang's. Even not just the sleeves, but the front. Very reminiscent of Wang's. Not exactly the same, but again, you have the white with the gold accents. And something else to note is that he has red pants. It doesn't go with the outfit. It's almost like he's wearing the gi for some reason that's not related to the outfit, because obviously this kind of looks ridiculous. And the reason for that is actually Leroy's story, and that's what this tab has been for that I've had up. And someone did a translation of Leroy's story on this page, 4Gamer, which is reputable. It does actually have the proper stories behind characters I've seen in Tekken and Soul Calibur. So this is his actual story. This is directly from Tekken. This is, it is a translation. He says it's a bad translation, but the important part is translated correctly. And what it says in here, Leroy is seriously injured and falls into a river, where he is washed ashore. But luckily, he is picked up by a merchant ship and survived. The important part here is merchant ship. And the translation is right for my point here, because this in Japanese means trading merchant. So this part of the translation is right. His story is that he is saved by someone in a merchant ship. And who's the only Tekken character who is a merchant? Wang Jinrei. Where's Wang Jinrei from? China, right? And then Leroy goes to Hong Kong in 1950. In 1950, Hong Kong was a trading city. It was still a UK colony, and it was a trading city. And it says that he traveled around the world as a trader. So what might have happened was Wang found Leroy, took him under his wing, went to Hong Kong, and showed him a practitioner in Wing Chun. And that's how he learned Wing Chun. But even if that's not the full story, I don't think it's ridiculous to say that the merchant ship that found Leroy is Wang Jinrei. Because why would they say a merchant ship found him, and then why would they say that he became a trader after leaving America, instead of just saying he was picked up by a fishing boat and then he went off to Hong Kong to learn martial arts? They could have just done that, but no, they specifically said merchant ship, and then he became a trader. So what I think is that Wang Jinrei found him and then went to China with him to become a merchant, and then went to Hong Kong and learned Wing Chun in Hong Kong after being with Wang Jinrei. And that's why I think he wears the white robe that's very reminiscent of Wang's, because Wang saved his life. So he has a deep respect and connection for Wang, and that's why he wears the gi. And with so many references to Wang, you know, him being picked up by a merchant ship, becoming a trader, learning Wing Chun in Hong Kong, which isn't China, especially in the 1950s, because it's a UK colony at the time until 1997, it's still not something that can be ignored, right? Like, you have the jacket that's very reminiscent of Wang's and is supposed to make you think that this is Wang. Then you have the whole story of him being picked up by a merchant ship, becoming a trader in outside of America, probably China, right? Because why would he just be a trader in, say, Europe, and then go to Hong Kong all of a sudden? Why, right? Probably because he was in China. And probably because that merchant is Chinese, and probably because it's Wang Jinrei. So I think with all of these references to Wang, and him potentially having a big connection with Wang Jinrei, I think, again, it feeds into the idea that another one of these characters is going to be Wang. And again, this could be all coincidence. It could all be a coincidence. They could just accidentally be retelling, well, not retelling a story, but making connections that weren't intentionally supposed to be connected. But I think that it will be a pretty fucking big coincidence. And I think you would be able to ignore it if the pants weren't red. If there was a reason for him having a weird, his pants color being very weird and very different from his gi. But with them being so different and kind of looking ridiculous, because why red pants in a white jacket? I think that's the reason. Because he is connected to Wang and he has a deep respect for Wang. That's why he wears it. That's what I think, personally. And yeah, remember that Wang Jinrei in the 2017 in the game story is 106 years old, around that. So he was born around 1910. So at this time, he would have been around 40. So it all just adds up, right? So that's why I think Wang is going to be one of the characters. I think that, again, lots of coincidences if this isn't intentional. I think it's because of all of this is very likely. And again, I know I've been talking in circles a lot. I'm sorry, but I want to get my point across. Now we go to the thing that I think is probably a coincidence. I'm not even going to say maybe. I think it's probably a coincidence as nothing related to Peck, but I'm still going to point it out, and this is going to be much shorter because this is really the only thing I have to go on. So, you notice in Zafina's intro how she holds Azazel's crystal with Azazel's hand. In the story, which is on here, what it says in here is that Azazel didn't die in his fight against Jin and Laz. And when Zafina found this, she consumed Azazel to entrap him, but Azazel, and she became the guardian of the crystal. But then Azazel is gaining power and trying to break out. So basically, she's Tekken 7's nightmare for all intents and purposes. It's just the difference is that she's being consumed by the spirit of Azazel rather than Soul Edge. But maybe Azazel is Soul Edge, we don't know. But basically, she's the modern day nightmare. Not the same. She's managing to keep it under control. Unlike Siegfried and Raphael and well, Inferno kind of did. But either way, she is, but he's trying to break out. But either way, the point is that this is Azazel's crystal. And that she is now part Azazel. So, the thing I want to note is that this happens. The crystal cracks. Now, how does this tie to Peck, you may wonder? Well, I actually didn't pull this up. Here we go. In Pecto-san's ending in Tekken 6, he is the only character, except for Hwoarang, but Hwoarang kind of tosses on the ground and it cracks. He is the only character in every ending where, when he defeats Azazel, the crystal cracks. You see that? Only character. And this is a very minor thing. Obviously, Peck's ending is non-canon, despite what people may think. So, could this be very circumstantial? Yeah, of course it could. And it probably is. But I think it's important to note. And normally, if it was just this and the whole thing with Leroy and Wang wasn't there, then I would just write this off as a coincidence. It's there. It is a thing that I think is important to note and might be teasing Peck, but I think it's such a stretch that I think it is coincidental normally. But at the same time, you have to remember this is in the bit where they're revealing Zafina, and then you have this. And then in the part with Leroy, while they're revealing Leroy, they have this. Wang and Baek, right? Reference to Wang, reference to Baek's Tekken 6 ending. So, again, while I think this is very coincidental and may not insinuate anything, it's still there. It's still, even if coincidental, a reference to Baek's ending in Tekken 6, where he is the only character to crack Azazel's crystal. The only one. Oh yeah, and the other thing I wanted to mention about the ball is, while this is probably a coincidence, you also have to think of it from their perspective. Why have the ball crack? Why have it crack? Right? Why have it in the first place? Well, I guess it's part of her art, right? But you have the ball crack here, and then you have in her art, the ball is intact. Why would they do that? Right? What's the point? To show that she has power radiating from Azazel's crystal? To be honest, I didn't even notice the crystal the first time I saw this trailer. I only noticed it, when she did this, yeah. When she did this. That's the first time I noticed it. And I think that's how it was for most people, too. I thought it was just the crystal that was emanating all of this weird aura. So, again, just why have it crack? That's the question. And that's why I think there's still some merit to this. Between, again, Baek's Tekken 6 ending and it cracking. For whatever reason, I couldn't tell you why. I don't know why. But, you know, maybe it's to shift the focus from saying it's not about Azazel, it's about Zafina, but we already know it's about Zafina, and it is about Azazel because she has the hand. She's part Azazel now, so I don't know. Like, again, why, right? Why? That's the question. Why have it crack there and then she's holding it? You know, we don't know. At the end of the day, we just don't know. And maybe it is to tease back. Maybe that was the intention. Maybe. But again, we're comparing a character intro to a non-canon Tekken 6 ending. So, probably coincidental, but... And it's not like the cracks are even the same. But at the end of the day, it's still there. I think that's everything I wanted to talk about then. But either way, Zafina looks fucking great. Just look at her. She is 100% a character that I'm going to play. I might main her. She just looks so amazing. She is very clearly a character that I would play. If you know the characters that I play. I mean, Christ, I play fucking Kyoshiro in not Soul Calibur. Well, Soul Calibur now. It's Soul Calibur X Samurai Showdown, though. But yeah, I play Kyoshiro in Samurai Showdown, right? I play Tira in Soul Calibur. You know, I mean, she even has that Tira-esque scream. So, she's clearly a character that I'd play. Leroy is clearly a character I'd play. I mean, Leroy is a Wing Chun character, and I've been wanting a Wing Chun character in Tekken for, well, since I first started playing Tekken. So, actually more than 15 years ago now. Almost, it's going on 16. So, yeah. And he just looks badass. He's clearly a character I would play. You know, both of these characters are great. Regardless of what the next two characters are. Even if it was just Zafina and Leroy, I would still be disappointed because there's no Wang or Baek. But, my god, these two characters look great. And I'm going to have to decide on some characters to drop, because I'm going to be playing these two characters guaranteed, and I need to drop characters, because right now I play Elisa, Eliza, Julia, Yoshimitsu, Leo. I play Leo a bit. I play Lei a bit. I play too many characters. And it's not just those. There are other characters that I play on the side, too. And I need to... If I'm going to play these 2 characters, I need to drop some of them. And I have to figure that out. But, yeah. These 2 characters look so good that I'm going to drop characters. That's how good they look. But anyway, those were my thoughts on who these 2 characters are going to be. Yeah, I can't wait until they're revealed. And yeah, I guess something else that I'm wondering about is and this is something that I completely forgot to mention in the beginning, which I should have, but why are there these gaps here? Right? Why are these gaps here? More speculation, but again, this is intentional. They put these gaps here for some reason. And it's not like it's because of the release schedule either. Zafina and Leroy are going to be released September. These things are going to be released in winter. You could be saying that they're going to be released at the same time, but they're not, because these are in September, these are in winter, right? So you can't have all 3 of these released at the same time, so it's not like it's being split up based on their release and when they're going to release at the same time. Zafina and Leroy are going to be released at the same time because they've always, well, I say always, but they did it in Season 2, so why wouldn't they release both characters at the same time in Season 3 with the Season Pass, especially when, again, it says they're going to be released in September. So why are these gaps here then? Why not just bring everything together and stretch these portraits out a bit so that you're not losing real estate? I don't know. Maybe there's a reason for these gaps that we can look into. Maybe there's not. But if there is, we're going to be finding out sometime in September if there's actually any meaning to these gaps or not. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Season 3. I can't wait. The only thing I can hope, I mean, I can't ask for much more except Wang and Baek. But if I could, I would ask that it's at the beginning of September that they're released and not the end. So, anyway, there's my speculation. I'm done now. I have nothing else to say, which I know you're all surprised by, but I'm done. So, thanks for listening, and here's to more Tekken.